What's happening, folks? The new catsclaw. I say new, but it is the debut EP of catsclaw, which is a metalcore thall project. I guess it's metalcore, really, but it is massively thall infused, and it's been a really fun project to follow. They had their Human Fission EP, which was in 2023, I believe. I checked that out. There's a video for it on the channel. And now they have their debut album. It's insane to think that this is a debut album, because I feel like I've been hearing about catsclaw for a long time now. It has only been like 2.5 years, 2 years or whatever. But a band that has managed to capture a lot of people's attention in the thall world and the like really heavy world, because I believe that catsclaw are one of the more fun bands to listen to in the thall space. I've had my, conversations as of late that I just don't really enjoy the kind of maybe traditional sound of thall as much as I used to, with the kind of more incoherent song structures and music that is like heavily reliant on technicality and less about maybe more traditional melodies and stuff like that. It just gets a little bit incoherent and confusing to me. And I tend to zone out with a lot of thall music these days that kind of follows the Viljarte archetype, for lack of a better expression. But catsclaw have definitely kind of taken a lot of what is really fun about thall, mainly the kind of low-tuned heaviness and the atmosphere, and they've brought it into like a metalcore realm. So it's kind of like alt in a way. Very, very cool band. And yeah, this one's called Perfect Death. It is 9 songs, 32 minutes long. I have heard the title track, which is the last single that they released, Perfect Death, which is the first song on the album. I've heard Become the Blade, I've heard Namesake, and I've heard The Old Way. So new songs for me are The Shield, Remember the Days, Measured Twice, Lesser Sun, and Graspar. So without any further ado, folks, let's jump on into this bitch. All right, excited to hear this. Let's go. Again, I've heard this song, but it'll be interesting to hear all these again in the context of this album, this debut album. Okay. I have heard that song. I did a video for it. I sat down to do a video. I like the song. I just didn't really feel like I had much to add to the conversation when I made the video. So I ended up not posting it. And I do feel much the same about it again on second listen. It is an enjoyable song. I think it's a decent album opener. I'm going to contradict myself a little bit in saying that I love that Catsclaw go for sometimes a more melodic approach, but this one was definitely the most different that I've heard from Catsclaw. The chorus delivery is, I think it's good. It's just the song itself is not really landing with me. I got it kind of reminds me of another song that I can't think of off the top of my head right now, but I don't know if I love the delivery. I don't know. I haven't really come to terms with what it is about this song that I don't particularly click with as much. I've, in the past, from the singles that I have heard, enjoyed the heavier songs like Become the Blade, which you're about to listen to, and Namesake, and The Old Way, which are all definitely a little bit more like Perfect Death is the outlier from those four songs. So I'm hoping that we get more songs like the three that I mentioned that I'm really into, as opposed to Perfect Death. But I think it does, I think it's going to be beneficial to have a few moments like that throughout the album that do switch it up and don't just get monotonous in that like really heavy sound all the time. But yeah, let's go. Become the Blade. I never noticed that synth, like riser. That is fucking filth. It's so filth. This pocket here. Oh, that is where Catsclaw are in their bag. That is one of the best bags in modern metal. They've had a few moments like that, and I'm looking forward to hearing again some of the singles that I think it's in The Old Way where, and even I think Namesake has a moment in it as well. It's this James Morgan flow. I've heard it in like different genres before, but I don't think I've ever heard it in this context, the way in which he's flowing, on top of the guitar rhythm that is just so filthy. It's like so low tuned, but it's the use of like dead notes and palm muting, and it's synchronized with the way in which James is flowing over it is just so good. It just sounds so fucking good. Like it just doesn't stop as well. I like how he stays in that pocket for like a prolonged period of time. It's not like a bar or two. He just keeps flowing and flowing and flowing like that. And it just makes so much sense. I'm not the biggest fan of the song leading up to that point. It's a little bit all over the place for me. It's a little bit hard to find any rhythm, but I think that's why when we get to that part at the end that I appreciate it so much, because it's like finally we're finding our feet a little bit. It definitely has moments where it's in that ballpark of what I would consider kind of incoherent in that thall space. I don't mean like completely incoherent, like I don't know what's going on, but it, like by design, it's very complex, and it is falling into, you know, some of the tropes of what we've gotten used to with a lot of these thall projects that have followed in the footsteps of Viljarta. And I don't think it's too far gone to suggest that it is somewhat Viljarta coded, because Cal Thomer was working on the initial EP. Now I think he's had some part to play on this album, but I don't think it's as heavily involved. I know Elliot Merriman of Our Common Collapse is the guitarist and composer as well as James. So Elliot is playing the guitar and James is the lyricist and I guess like composer, as it says on Spotify here. So yeah, it's definitely got moments. I'm sure there's like moments that Cal was probably involved in, maybe in like an early demo or something along those lines. And, you know, you just hear it in some moments, which is kind of cool. This band is like a combination of like HLB, Alt, and Viljarta, because it does have, it's kind of like if Alt had more of the kind of like Viljarta nuance, because Alt, although they are in this like thall world, they're kind of like metalcore with Humanity's Last Breath, whereas catsclaw feel kind of like Viljarta with metalcore, if that makes sense. So Alt is kind of metalcore with HLB, and catsclaw to me feels a little bit like, it really is, it's kind of hard to say that they're exclusively like Viljarta and metalcore, because it does feel like HLB at times as well, because it's very heavy in the way it's produced and mixed. Because Viljarta isn't like a mad, it doesn't feel as punchy as something like HLB, but yeah, I'm kind of yapping at this point. Point is, that flow section at the end there, incredible. New song, looking forward to hearing this. Let's see how it transitions. Okay, we got a complete full stop and then start again, the shield. Does this have a video for it? There might be a visualizer on YouTube, let me just confirm. Ooh, I don't know. I have to hear that one again. I think it has some nice moments in it. Like, it does have some mind-bending moments from the heaviness standpoint. Although I said that they are like, this is why I said they're kind of like a blend of Biljarta, Humanity's Last Breath, and maybe Alted sometimes. But in this song, it was very HLB. It's that mix. The percussion is so HLB. The distortion of the guitars, the bassy moments, it's just all so abrasive and so heavy that it's hard to not draw a comparison to something like HLB, which is like borderline EDM music. It literally feels like it's EDM at some points because of how abrasive everything is. It's like they're playing in a different ballpark to other metal bands when it comes to this style of mix. There's like, they're not confined by limitations. And this is what I feel about HLB as well. It's like they'll use distortion to their advantage, almost as if like, you know, it's like, how far can we get this to go without clipping? Yeah, it can be really rough around the edges and really distorted, but we're going for a completely different sonic landscape than other like metalcore bands that are trying to do things really clean. That will like sound really perfect if you put it up to like full volume in a car. Whereas that's not really the case with something like this. Like if you put this on full volume, it's going to literally just, your car is just going to be completely vibrating. But it's part of the appeal to something like this. Similar song to Perfect Death, where there is like a really big melodic moment in that. Like there's obviously a massive hook in that song. I'm just not instantly clicking with it because of how abrasive the rest of the song is. It's a little bit of a stylistic shift to go from something that is that heavy into something that is that clean and melodic. But I feel like that one might grow. On first listen, it's not absolutely wowing me, but we have a new song, Remember the Days. So far, I'm confident that Become the Blade is playlist. That section at the end is absolutely sick. The other songs, I don't think Perfect Death is in my playlist. I'm not really loving that one on second listen. The Shield could go. That could go onto the playlist. I'm just not 100% certain after hearing it for the first time. Namesake is already in the playlist. Let's just put that in. And this is already in the playlist. I know for a fact that their playlist. Now I don't know if we're going to get something really heavy or something quite emotional, because we've had a mixed bag so far. Okay. It's very different to the first EP. It's completely... Hold on. I don't want to ruin any potential moments here. Oh, Catsclaw are touring with Volumes. Sick. That is a big tour. There's the Vildrata. I need to get you off my chest, then I'll deal with the rest. I'll face my own regrets until then what's left. It takes a hold of me. Switch up. I can't stand to save your life. Okay. Again, I see what they're going for. It's kind of like this big grandioso, epic, almost emotional, like standing on the edge of a fucking cliff moment. So I get it. It's epic. I'm not clicking with this music. Like, I don't feel any mad desire to spin that back instantly. But this song is incredible, and I'm looking forward to hearing this again. This is actually the lead single for this album. So fucking sick. That's switch up, man. This breakdown pummeled me the first time I heard it. My God. Yeah, those lyrics are haunting, but yeah, I'm noticing a trend. My favorite moments of catsclaw are because sonically, it's living in a world that I've heard many, many times. So there is very few, because how dense the sound is and how heavy it is, there's not a lot of room for diversity and what's the word I'm looking for here? Like, they're not sitting in a world that's very dynamic in terms of the overall soundscapes. It is very low tuned. Like, a lot of the dynamics are coming from James's approach. Yes, there are some fun, like, thall-esque moments in there with like some of the noodly riffs. And to be fair, that is exactly how I've always, or lately, have discussed my enjoyment of thall, is when those like noodly riffs are just accenting some other groove or something that's a little bit more, I guess, coherent, for lack of a better term. I keep using the word coherent as if it's like some kind of like diss on what I'm hearing. It's not that. It's just, I guess, more traditionally accepted as what would be coherent. Obviously, thall music and the thall subgenre within the subgenre of like gent and then fucking metalcore, whatever you want to actually pin this to, is so niche. So it's not exactly the most accessible thing in the world, and it is very nerdy. So I think that they use the kind of thall accented riffs very effectively, and I think those moments are really, really well done. But they are still living in a world that's so low tuned and so heavy, and that is by design. It's not like a critique of the band, this is just their style. But there's very little room for it to be that dynamic because of how low tuned everything is. Like, you might get an open zero, you might get a muted zero, you might get like a dead note. Like, you're still within this like really low tuned, bassy, like undertone sound. So the overall package starts to get a little bit fatiguing for me when I'm not absolutely falling head over heels for all of the songs. Now, in saying that, I am falling head over heels and I'm absolutely fucking loving the moments where it does feel a little bit more dynamic and unique, because again, this like heavy world that HLB and a lot of, you know, alt and a lot of other bands are living in, like I'm saying about the dynamics of it, there's only so much you can make yourself sound different to other bands in the scene when the point of the scene or this particular style is to be as low tune, as abrasive as possible, and as like chuggy as possible, with like the odd accented note to kind of set something up. So you kind of get those dynamics for me in the production world, which I don't think this is like the most heavily produced. There isn't like a lot of post-production and like effects and samples and stuff thrown into this, which is cool. I'm not like complaining about that. It's just how I'm hearing it. And then you get it from James, who is very, very good as a vocalist. To me, what makes this really, really unique, in the moments that I have really gravitated towards catsclaw, is those moments where his flow switches up. That is the most unique thing that I've ever heard from catsclaw. All of the low tune breakdowns and stuff are fun. We've got like the bass boosted drops. Like Abbey Falls is another band that's kind of doing those like really ridiculously distorted bass boosted drops. So again, that's another band that's kind of like doing something similar to catsclaw in this, not like stylistically, I don't think they're very much the same. Abbey Falls isn't as thally, and I think that's a little bit like more lighthearted in terms of their overall approach to the music. But they are doing something similar in terms of the overall like sonic soundscape, where they have bass boosted moments. Some moments get really, really heavy and like everything sounds like it's clipping. which is a stylistic approach. It's not like it's not like an editing error where they've like, oh fuck, or a mixing error where they've clipped it or whatever. It's stylistic. It's supposed to be as ridiculously abrasive as possible. But again, Namesake, that section again, that flow at the end of it is incredible. The Become the Blade flow is incredible. I hope for more moments like that, because they are the moments with catsclaw that are really sticking out to me. I appreciate that there is some melodic moments in this. Even when it's heavy, it's still like scream singing at times, which is cool. Maybe over time that'll grow on me, but we have heard other bands delve into that world as well. And yeah, so far, so good. We have The Old Way as well, which is another sick song. Actually, just remembered, Namesake was actually premiered for the first time on my Twitch stream, which is pretty fucking sick, because it's probably between that and Become the Blade for my favorite, and The Old Way. I think The Old Way is, to be fair. So far, I think Namesake is one of the best songs on the album, and that was actually premiered on my Twitch stream. That was something way back when James reached out to me and he was like, look, do you want to premiere this on your Twitch stream? And I hadn't heard the song. So I kind of said to him, I was like, look, I'd love to do something like this. It's cool content for me. I'm going to be streaming anyway. So let's like do this as a part of the stream. But I have to hear the song first, because I didn't want to like blind react to it, because it'd be a bit awkward if I like did a whole stream around premiering a song and then we react to it and it's a bit shit. But I listened to the song first, and as soon as I heard it and did my reaction to it, I was like, okay, yeah, this song needs to be premiered on my stream. This would be so sick. So yeah, that was a pretty cool like opportunity in little moments. It was kind of like a little collaboration that myself and James did. Obviously, you know, his song gets to go in front of some of the people on my stream, and we just build a bit of hype about it. I get some fun content for the stream and all that, and we built it up, and that was really cool. I kind of forgot that was even a part of this album. So I've played somewhat of a small role in the rollout to this album, which is pretty cool. So yeah, let's go The Old Way. Again, we've heard this. This was the second most recent single. This song was really cool. I thought this song was like the most unique of the singles, and then Perfect Death dropped, and then I thought Perfect Death was the most unique. This part. That is disgusting. Oh. So good, man. This might be the best song on the album now that I think of it. It's catchy as well. That switch up as well. Jump scare. That fucking scared the bollocks out of me when I first heard it. Just got a little PTSD flashback. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to get into the lyrical content, but respect to James for putting this out there, man. I don't know if it's like from personal experience, but regardless, it's very dense lyrically. It's quite heavy topically, and not something that I'm prepared to get into. Oh, I thought I clicked pause there. That could have actually ended my life. Like, that could have actually, I could have been deceased, and someone would have to, like, this video could be like 9 hours long because my girlfriend's at work and she would just come home and have to click stop record because I would just be dead here. That actually could have ended me completely, taken me off this earth. That would have been horrendous. Yeah. I don't know how that didn't kill me. I actually didn't get much of a jump scare off that, but yeah, that could have been really, really bad. But anyway, yeah, respect to James for putting this out there. Again, even if it's not specifically from personal experience, it's still quite an interesting theme to the album, or from the songs that I've been paying attention to lyrically. Obviously, I've had a little bit more time with these singles to digest the lyrics, and quite heavy. The call out in that song at the start, after the first verse, at the end of 18 Feet of Rope, and then the dun 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 dun. One of the filthiest moments of 2025. Absolutely vile. Yeah, disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. But excited to hear that there's 3 more songs left that are brand new. So this is kind of like the part of the album react that I was really looking forward to, because it's the longest stretch in the album of songs that we haven't heard. Obviously, you know, there's a bit of the start of the album, we heard that too, then there's a 2-song break, which I didn't love. I don't think they're bad songs by any stretch, but they're definitely a little bit different stylistically to the songs that we heard that were rolled out as singles, which I guess makes sense. All of the singles had like kind of their own big moments, which makes sense to roll out a project. I think bands like Catsclaw, compared to a band like Bad Omens or something, who recently had the really experimental single, who can get away with something like that. I think Catsclaw have made the right decision in putting out the big fucking heavy hitters. So far, again, we don't know what's coming next with these 3 songs, but they definitely made a great choice in putting out songs that are like almost objectively great singles, because they just have a particular moment in the song that's like, holy shit, you need to hear this, and then you send it to your friend, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, Catsclaw, and then it's like, oh, well, let's check out more of their stuff. So from a marketing standpoint, they've done very well. Like, obviously they have almost 50,000 monthly listeners, which I'm quite shocked by. I think when Catsclaw did Human Fission, let's see, hold on a minute, because I think I actually maybe have it in my video. I think I put it in my video thumbnail. I didn't, fuck. I didn't, but I did it 2 years ago, and I'm pretty sure they had less than 10k monthly listeners. Maybe only a couple thousand. Maybe only a couple of hundred. I don't even fucking know. I could have sworn I'd done one of my thumbnails where I put the monthly listeners in the thumbnail. So that would have been a cool little timestamp to see where they were at when we first checked out Human Fission. But yeah, obviously on their first album coming out, they only have, like, having 46,000 monthly listeners on a first album is pretty sick. So they've made great choice. But to make a fucking great album, you need to have really good non-singles as well. Not to suggest that these other ones weren't really, really good, but they just, to me, were not up my street as much as the other singles. So let's go. Measure Twice. Oh, I keep forgetting about the jump scares. So dense. That's different. Ooh. I want to pause it, but I can't. This feels like Silent Planet. Whoa, this song is wild. This breakdown or whatever the fuck is going to finish the song off. Oh, chorus again. There's got to be something big at the end of this, right? What is that tone? Holy fuck, man. That James Morgan / Elliot Merriman flow combo is something that needs to be studied, because that's turning me into fucking this fella here. Little teaser of what's to come for the Orbit Culture React. To be honest, I could have had this on for this album in moments, but that turned me into fucking caveman at the end there. It nearly had me jumping out my window. That shit's crazy. Again, another great example of the song gets playlist when it feels a little bit more dynamic to what we've heard from other thall adjacent bands that sound kind of like HLB, that sound kind of like Alt, that sound kind of like Viljarta, in this same ballpark. All of these kind of bands, it needs to feel a little bit more dynamic. And I think an example of where I can, if I just clicked on it, whoa, that's how fucked up I got on that song. I started enabling repeat without even realizing. But notable things about this song: there was the introduction to the song, very, very heavy, very dense, but all of a sudden there was like a lead, I think it was a lead guitar that came in by itself, like kind of uninvited. It was all of a sudden like I'm listening to this like really heavy shit, and then let me just play it back. Hold on, because where is it? Hold on. So all of this is like so ridiculously abrasive that it's almost, I don't know whether I can enjoy it or not, because I don't actually know what's happening. Maybe lyrically it'll make more sense if I delve into those lyrics, but right now just musically I'm like, okay, I can hear the rhythm and I'm headbanging, but I don't know if I like it because it's so unbelievably distorted and ridiculously heavy that it's kind of like, I guess it's good because it's just vibrations that I want to groove along to, but I don't know musically how much I like it. But then there is a moment that I'm pretty sure happens that changes everything. Okay, so this is it. This is where the song starts to feel a little bit more dynamic, because let's be honest, sonically there's not much dynamics going on in a song like this. Again, I've already touched on all of the dynamics conversation. It's not necessarily a critique, it's just how I'm hearing it. I'm just hearing but then this like lead comes in, and I kind of, because of how heavy everything was, I expected maybe it to drop, because there was so much tension building that you either need something to completely switch up on its head or to give way and break, which is what we're getting in that 55-second intro. But here, I was almost expecting things to crash, because it wasn't necessarily the most groovy thing in the world. And then when we hit into this section, we get this like lead line that all of a sudden changes the whole feel of the song. Now it's like, okay, that was the intro, but now we're like building again. And then we go into a chorus, which I wasn't expecting, because it almost kind of makes you feel, I felt like the song was climaxing towards a big, heavier moment, but we get not that big, heavy moment just yet, but they kind of edge it further, where they want you to keep listening and listening and listening, and it just kind of starts to demand more of your attention. So we get that lead line, and then the chorus comes in, or I guess the chorus, but the lead line stays involved in the song from that point onwards, which is really, really interesting. It just made the song feel fun, because it now gave the song a bit more of a theme and something a little bit more memorable. Something simple as that sometimes can just be the difference between a song being, or feeling unique and not feeling unique. Let me just hear this again. Yeah, so they like introduce that lead line almost as if it's going to be like a riser or a, indication that we're going into a new part. And you would think that maybe that lead line would lead into something like the chorus and then stop, but they keep that in there. So it adds like a melodic line to follow along on the chorus now. And they keep bringing that back in throughout the song as well. So it always kind of lingers there as if it's being put in there at some point to lead you into another moment down the line. So it's all of a sudden we've got this new line to follow. And then it gets taken out for a moment. And when it comes back, it almost implies, right, we have to finish this. This line started here. It has to finish somewhere else. And they kind of like bring you on that journey. So yeah, that's just my interpretation of the song and how I'm hearing it, like musically. That is why it's in the playlist. Very fun to listen to. Obviously goes without saying, the moments towards the end were absolutely sick. Elliot Merriman at the end with some of the fucking nuance to his playing. Yeah, it is a lot of like open strings and boom, boom, but it's almost like it's like a percussive style of playing. It's so like I can just see him playing this. It's very percussive in the sense that it's a lot of muting, it's a lot of dead notes, it's a lot of like quick let me just hear this section again. It's just so much to unpack with the guitar playing, because it's technically not the most technical stuff in the world. It's not like a barrage of notes, but it is really, really hard, and it's a lot of precision is probably the best way to describe it. When you try and play music like this, yeah, when you hear it, you're like, oh, it's just like boom, boom. But when you're constantly going back and forth between like dead notes, palm muting, open notes, the odd note in there, maybe a little like riff here and there, like a thall-esque riff, it is really, really complex. But on the surface, you could probably look at it as just being like, oh, well, it's just open notes, like relax. But it's a lot of complex precision that is required to pull a lot of that off, especially when it's moving quickly. And the actual song itself, the way it flows going with James, who is offering another level of dynamics with his vocal delivery, which is something we'll hear again at the end. Yeah, so there's so much going on. We have pick scrapes, we have like dissonant chords, we have the dead note, we have complete like dead air stops. Now, obviously, a lot of that can be done like very, not necessarily easily, but you can kind of play all these sections in small portions and just record it in a studio and like kind of piece them all together. But obviously, if this band is playing live, they're going to be required to play these songs live. So it's going to be really interesting to see all that. I'm not seeing them live anytime soon, not that I'm aware of, but I'm just saying for people that are going to see them live, it'll be really interesting from a guitar enthusiast standpoint to see this played live, because it does have a lot of those like really fun. I think seeing this live would open your eyes more to how complex some of the rhythmic sections really are, because there's a lot in that. And I'm just speaking from experience, not like trying to be like, oh, this is like just from experience trying to play stuff like this. Sometimes I'll listen to a song like this and I'll be like, oh, that sounds easy. Let me pick up my guitar. And then I'm like trying to get the rhythm down and how nuanced the actual playing is with some of the dead notes, some of the open space, some of the like pick scrapes, some of the little dissonant chords, some of the riffs that are in the middle of all that. And then you're coming back down here and you're like trying to palm mute at the same time, and not just like trying to get the palm mute off, like making it sound good. So it's not like leaving any of that note ringing out. So it's very precise playing. Anyways, let's keep going. What the fuck? I'm gonna come! Fuck. Did I just say that? Jesus, man. That is so silly. Fade out into Graspar. I don't know what Graspar means. Is there a little meaning for that? Graspar. Or is that a person? It means treasurer or master of treasure and is an old Persian origin. That song goes playlist because of the riff at the start. We'll talk about the rest of it in a moment. Let's just finish out the album at this point. Oh.
I didn't know you're missing the one thing worth having. Now you're masquerading and pervading like your pain. Taken part of me when you leave. I don't know what I've done wrong. If I'm worthy, please just save me. I've been waiting for so long. I'm worthy of a shared embrace and morning. I thought I saw
What the fuck? Sounds digital.
they say I'm worthy, that I'm fine. They say to give it time. What if they're not right?
What the fuck? That riff or whatever was happening there, it sounded like it was some like laser. This is the last breakdown of the album. We're fucked. It's again, it feels almost like an EDM track. It's so large and so abrasive, and everything is dialed up to 11 that it literally starts to sound like a different genre. It starts to sound like EDM, which is again very similar to, I think, a movement that Buster needs a lot of credit for, with his sound design with HLB and Viljarta. Mainly HLB, because Viljarta obviously isn't as abrasive as something like HLB, but yeah, this is definitely living in that same realm. Obviously there is nuance to it that makes it different in moments to something like HLB, but for the most part I think it's a pretty fair comparison to say that this project that is catsclaw, yes, initially started out as more of a like maybe traditional thall sounding project, obviously with the inclusion of Cal Thomer. I don't know how much Cal had to do with this. Maybe there's some riffs on this that may be a little bit more Cal-esque, but I don't think he's as involved in this, if at all. He's not got credits from what I can see here, so I don't know if Cal is actually involved in this whatsoever. I don't want to speculate, but it is performed by catsclaw, written by Elliot and James, so maybe here and there Cal maybe inspired some of the riffs. I don't know, but clearly it's James and Elliot who are the main, you know, composers and producers of this project. And I think it's pretty fair to say that this project that is catsclaw lives within this realm of thall that is, I guess, the kind of next step of thall music that I refer to the likes of alt living in that same world. HLB are kind of the extension of that as well. Obviously Viljarta doing it for years, but they have that like more traditional sound of thall. We're living in this weird nuanced world where I don't even, like, we're talking about subgenres within subgenres within subgenres. It's getting very complicated. But obviously Viljarta's like 2013 album, the Mustaden album, that is kind of what I refer to when I think of traditional thall, where it's a lot of those newly guitar moments. There's a lot of atmosphere. There's less emphasis on the bass and the low end. It's like, it's very guitar focused, whereas this is like bass boosted. Yes, there are newly guitar riffs in moments, which we can discuss in Measured Twice, or Lesser Sun, sorry, that shit. Which one was it? The one with the fucking silly riff? Was it Lesser Sun or Measured Twice? I think it was Measured Twice. That shit, oh my goodness, that had my face melting. That was like one of the main fucking silly riffs on this album, if not like the only massively silly riff on this album. A lot of it is, again, like I mentioned, a lot of that like percussive style riffing that is really, really cool, but it lives in that world of like HLB, which I'm, you know, trying to make that overall point. This lives in that world of HLB, alt, Viljarta, but I think where this project shines for me is, and when it becomes unique, is when James and Elliot are kind of going back and forth in this really, really like almost machine gun style rap flow. James has this really, really unique like that is so unique in this heavy world. There may be other bands that have done it before, but when I hear that style, I immediately associate it with catsclaw. I think the first time I'd heard it was it Become the Blade? Was that the first time? Or was it the old way? No, it was, I don't know which song I'd heard it in first, but so goddamn unique. I think it was Become the Blade. So fucking sick. And then obviously in Namesake, I'm mixing the songs up. One of the songs, it has that particular flow that I'm talking about, but there is moments throughout the album that when those moments come in, it's when I think catsclaw are at their best. Now I understand that you're probably going to struggle to make an entire album around that particular nuanced sound, because we're already living in this world of like subgenre that is so niche, and then we're also trying to take a sound or a stylistic approach to the vocals that is so unique, and mixing those two together, it's very hard to like make an entire album around that. But for me, that is when catsclaw kind of shines as being a project that has its own kind of selling point and that is unique compared to the very saturated yet still extremely niche thing or like subculture that thall music actually is. This isn't even really thall anymore. There is thall accents in it, but it's kind of like a really like darkened metalcore. I don't even know, what would people actually describe this subgenre as? Like, what do people describe this as? You could probably call it like progressive metalcore with thall influences in there, but it's not like, again, your traditional thall sound. Like, this doesn't sound to me like what we heard from Viljarta in like 2021 and 2013 or 2022, whenever the Mastodon Nevada album came out on Mastodon. It doesn't sound like that at all. It has moments, but it's a lot less atmospheric, and it is more in line with maybe HLB in terms of the overall song structures. But it's hard to deny that there is some nuance in there that reminds me of the more traditional thall stuff. So overall, as you can see, 5 songs liked, and I was quite conservative with my... Is that the right word? I've watching too much fucking politics lately. I was probably conservative is probably the right word, with deciding whether or not a song would be playlist. So if it's on the playlist right here, it's a song that I want to return to. I could probably argue that maybe Perfect Death could be in there. Some of these could be in there as well, but I think they're definitely playlist worthy tracks. So from a 9-track album to have 5 songs added to the playlist, I think is a pretty good return. I think James is the standout of the EP or the album. Elliot's incredible as well. Elliot is incredible on this. I think the riff in, I think it's Measured Twice. I'm losing track of which one it is. I think that's fucking incredible. That is one of those riffs that just makes my face fucking melt. Maybe I would have enjoyed a little bit more of that throughout the album, but it is what it is, you know. I'm not going to be picky about it. So we are over on Album of the Year, where we're going to submit our rating for this. Now, this is currently sitting at a 72. I'm not going to look at anyone else's opinions. I sometimes have it in my head that I feel a little bit harsh with certain ratings, and then I go and see the average rating and I'm like, oh, okay, that cements that I am being really harsh, or it cements that, okay, you know, you're not too far off. It is only based on 6 ratings. I am leaning towards somewhere in the realm of 79 or 80 as a first album. I don't know. I think because the singles for me were, for the most part, a lot more unique than the non-singles, it's kind of skewing my opinion of the album as a whole. I think if you were listening to this album for the first time without any prior experience with catsclaw, I think you might have a different experience. Like, if you are into HLB and other heavy projects in the space that are like using thall in some way, shape or form, and you've just been introduced to catsclaw with this album, I think you'd be very, very impressed with this. I think you'd probably lose your mind to this, because it does have some really unique moments in it. However, because I feel as though the non-singles are the standouts, with the exception of Measured Twice and Lesser Sun. However, those tracks to me have really sick moments in it, but as an entire song, I don't love every single moment of those songs. So I think I'm going to go with, I don't think I can commit to an 80. I don't think I can bring it into the 8s territory, but I think I can go very, very high 70s. Maybe after a couple of listens, it could jump into the 8s or the 80s. So for that reason, I'm going to go right on the brink of an 80 and give this a 79. Okay? A lot of room to grow with this. Another thing I appreciate about this album is that it knows what it's trying to achieve. What the fuck? It knows what it's trying to do, and I think the runtime of the album reflects that, being like 32 minutes. It knows it's very abrasive. It knows it's very heavy. It has a point to prove and get across, and it does not wait around any longer than it needs to. It's so abrasive. Anything longer than what we just heard would probably be too much, and that rating would start to climb down. But I think for what it is, I think 79 is, in my opinion, a fair rating, and that should boost the user score up, but this seems to take a little bit longer to actually go up. Let me read some of this. This is going to be like diehard thall people that are commenting on these ratings, because this only came out like yesterday. And yeah, let's see. Okay, so Tundra, who is in the Discord and a avid watcher of the Patreon and the YouTube channel, gave this an 80. So funnily enough, Tundra is actually giving this the highest rating, which is crazy because if you guys know Tundra, man's a bit of a critic and he doesn't usually love this style of music. I'm actually the second highest rating here. So, you know, I'm actually I'm a sound guy. So, Alice Under Stars. I'm annoyed that there's 2-year-old singles on this album, but apart from that, Catsclaw Perfect Death is good thallcore. More melodic than their Human Fission EP, but there's still enough heavy for me to be satisfied. Okay, alright. Perfect Death is thall more focused than ever. All the convolutions from the bigger bands are shed to create this very lean experience. Everything hits harder because there's not a million different riff ideas crammed into every song. The keyword here is different. Indeed, this album has plenty of riffs, but a lot of them are repeated throughout the songs, rather than presenting a sequence of distinct riff ideas without any repetition. Okay, I think both are very fair descriptions of this album. I think doing this is something I used to do where I would actually break down each single and I would rate the songs I would go song by song and then take my average, which I think actually makes a lot more sense to get a fair rating because it means there's some logic behind your actual overall album rating, which is something I'm going to start doing again now that I see this. That makes a lot more sense to me because sometimes I get to the end and I'm like, okay, I just have to pick a number now. I still think I probably would have wound up somewhere in the region of 79 or 80, but having an actual backup of that, like in the form of each song and then taking an average, is definitely something that I think would help me in, you know, arriving at a rating that I'm happy with in terms of the album reviews. So that concludes Perfect Death by Catsclaw, guys. Let me know what you thought of the album in the comments down below. Do you agree with my thoughts? What would you rate this album overall? Leave a like in the video. Make sure you're subbed. The links to Catsclaw's new album will be in the description. Go stream it. Go stream it. It's a great fucking album. It's a debut album, may I remind you. A debut fucking album is insane. But yeah, definitely some warranted critiques in there, some warranted praises, and an exciting band to keep an eye out on in the future. That's all from me, guys. See you in the next one. Cheers.